I have never really opened about this experience, at least as to what it was and how I felt. The more I remember, the less it actually seemed to feel as if it were a fleeting memory. I remember my earliest years as a boy asking my mother about who was I, who I came to be. Why was a boy who lacked a father, but had a mother whose strength was as great as the kindness in their heart? I was only a child who looked nothing like my family, yet to her I was the only family she ever needed. And for the longest time, I thought the same. She has and always will be the strongest person I have ever known, because one thing she has taught through trial and error was to love and love unconditionally. To put this story simply, for years, I wonder how, knowing my origins and my mother explained that my father, my other half, was a man who never had grasp of his aspirations. For that reason, couldn't be certain he could be a father to me. Growing up, it was hard to think and ask how could I ever measure up to him as a son, despite him meeting me, and while I had the mental fortitude to believe in myself, and for others to believe me, it remains my weakness. At the spry age of 17, after the peak of my personal turmoil, between changing schools and homes, wiping the slate one part of me to let begin another, I went out of my way for a month just looking for answers to help me understand my origins. Along, I knew that if I wanted closure and certainty about whenever or not I could break the cycle, jump into the head first, and I needed to allow the past to remain in the past and to not let it define me anymore. So within the few months, I was able to finally meet this man whom I had many questions for. For a long time, I believed, regardless of what answer, I would have gotten that I I would have been able to look past, but life hits us with a curveball in ways we don't expect it. My father was a man who, even after getting the chance to meet me and to open about his life and why he made the choices he did, more often than not, I remember the painful silence over any actual conversation that we shared the few times we ever met. And after all this time, I could finally see for what it was. Alan was a man who was painted red with regret from the day he met my mother to the day he walked away and continued forward with his life. That for every few times we actually did ever speak about how we felt about leaving and how he felt in the present showed me my father wanted to change the cycle of life and change his ways the same way I did. After walking out on me, he fell into another relationship and even fathered my stepsisters. And from one phone call I had with them seemed like it turned out better than he could ever. There was so little spoken, but so much understood between us, as despite me and my siblings never getting to have the relationship we quoted from the man we knew from Alan. After all the anger and bitterness and shame that came from questioning ourselves for the who's and what's and why's, all we felt for him anymore was pity. Now, years after having these conversations with my father, after once again losing contact with him and seeing him fade away from my life, with only contact to his side of the family being through my sisters, I wish all of us could have a few more moments of always silence together. I no longer doubt myself to thanks to him, because while he may have never been for me, and never finding him meant finding my sisters. I got to see myself with them, and how just like me, they will surprise all odds because they could count on themselves. Alan may never been a father I wanted to be, but I choose not to let hate and doubt fester in me any longer. In the end, through him, I got a gift in life that money can't just buy. I got to see the cycle finally break, all of us bask in light and getting to know the family I never knew. And to see them succeed in ways I never could has freed me from this hate. In the end, I give my thanks to you, Father.